October 25th. I'm Rim.
I'm Goth.
And this is Gothnights. Tonight, we got the Goth.
Let's do this. So, Rim, did I get home at my usual time today?
No, you got home a little bit late.
Oh, why do you think that might be?
I don't know, maybe because I lost all track of time, not being at work today.
No, that wasn't it. I actually did get home later than usual.
It's hard to say. I mean, it feels like it was, I don't know, years ago that you went to work, and I've just been living in this house all this time.
Yeah, it's what it feels like when I'm homesick. It's
Except I'm not sick. It's great.
Yeah, it won't be great in another week or so.
Nah.
You gotta go back to work.
But I gotta keep going back to a job, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I leave work, and as usual, I go down in the subway, and I wait for the choo-choo. So I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. And sometimes, some days you gotta wait longer than others. But this day, I had waited about the usual waiting time, and it sort of passed, and it's like, I've never had to wait this long. And I realized, not only was my train not coming, the Uptown 6 train, I hadn't seen a single 4, 5, or 6 train go by in either direction.
That's not good.
And the platform was getting mighty full. And since I was not at a major express stop, there weren't so many announcements going on. And usually if the
did you think it would matter? The last time I heard an announcement on the subway, it was, attention passengers. Delay.
In some places you can hear the announcements.
Grand Central.
At 14th Street you can hear the announcements.
Nowhere else.
So it also depends a lot on the person using the intercom, and how good they are at it.
I love the guys on the subway itself, like the actual trains,
Next stop, Burger. Next stop,
Burger.
Burger.
So little effort into it. They're like, next stop is coming.
Yep. Anyway, eventually the train comes. And
so did you fight your way onto it?
No, it actually was. It was pretty crowded, but it wasn't that crowded. Some people just didn't get on wusses, which is good. And it takes me to 14th Street. And basically, they're like, announcement, something. And what I gathered from the garbled announcements was that there was some sort of criminal investigation at 125th Street. And that they had to turn the power off at 125th Street. Which can only mean that there was something involving someone getting pushed onto the third rail and police had to go down into the tracks.
It was probably just a bum jump.
It could have been a bum jump. It could have been a bum push. Who knows what it was? All I know is that whatever it was basically caused the 4, 5, and 6 trains in both directions
now,
to be...
for those of you who aren't New Yorkers or Americans or anything, the 4, 5, 6 is pretty much the most important subway in Manhattan.
Yeah. It caused it to stop completely, pretty much, in both directions for a long time. And, someone asked us last week, during Questions Week, about what we thought about mandatory minimum sentencing kind of stuff. And we said, that stuff sucks. Well, on the other hand... obviously there was some sort of crime involved because there was a police investigation, right? And I don't know what the crime was. It could have been pushing. It could have been killing. It could have been who knows, right? It could have been who knows. But when you sentence someone, right, you take the crime into account. Someone, robbed a bank. Okay. I really think that they need to take into account more than they already do the damages caused by your crime. For example...
Well, I'm going to say there's been legislation pending or come up periodically in a lot of places, and I read an article a couple of years ago where there was one part of Texas where they actually passed a law to this effect, where if you're in a car accident and it's shown that you caused it, and fully, it's your fault, and you delay people, there are statutory fines to make up for the delays you have caused to the economy as a result of blocking rush hour traffic.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I think is good, actually, because, you can't figure out, I guess in an ideal world, right, you would figure out every person who was delayed because of the problem you caused and exactly how much damage it did to each individual person and make you pay them all, right?
The thing is,
you can't do that.
The thing is, then there's that almost brings up the problem of the stupid mistake lottery where, a lot of people just drive poorly, but not poorly enough to crash every day, but just pretty poorly, where, they're not paying attention and they run a red light, or they're not paying attention and they take a turn too fast. And usually they're lucky enough, there isn't a car in the other lane.
And also our traffic system has enough safety buffers built into it where you can kind of drive shittily and still get away with it.
But a lot of people, they're not driving extra shittily one day. They just the buffer isn't there and they end up hitting someone, and woe betide, you caused the accident the day that Bill Gates is trying to drive through Yonkers.
Yeah, I know. So I think, a good solution is just, okay, since we can't figure out everyone you have to pay, right, for exactly how much damage you did to each and every one of them, we'll just take a bunch of your money and we'll give it to the state, and that, I guess, will alleviate taxes.
See, I'm of the mind
all
that
the people,
all
in theory.
punitive damages should go to the state, no matter what.
Yeah.
And even better, they should go into a specific fund that can only be used for civil infrastructure improvements.
Well, I guess, if it's traffic related.
Oh yeah, and if there are other things, then anytime there's punitive damages, they should somehow be set up where they can only be put toward fixing the problem that caused the crime in the first place.
Yeah, but I mean, basically all I'm trying to say is that if you commit a crime, and there's the direct harm your crime does. You robbed a bank, you took $1,000 from the bank. Well, you go to jail for robbing a bank, and the bank gets $1,000 back, whatever. But if that caused, the bank to close down, and now a bunch of small business people couldn't do their business at the bank all day, and that caused all this other trouble, you got to take that other trouble into account. Usually it's traffic, subways and cars, because that's the easiest place for this kind of thing to happen.
Well, I think
but it happens in other places, and I think when you do that, we got to let look at all the trouble you actually caused doing your bullshit, dumbass.
Well, here's the thing,
and make you pay for it.
Because then the flip side of that is the no harm, no foul side of what if you committed a big crime, but the actual damage you did just by chance were very, very low.
Well, then I actually think if you don't something should only be a crime if you're infringing on someone's rights or causing harm, and I don't think.
Well. Here's the problem with that.
Yep.
If you allow no harm, no foul in the legal system, then if you attempt a crime and fail it, there's nothing to stop you from attempting it again, and you're not punished in any way.
But see, I think actually attempting a crime, right? I guess failing. You could just say, okay, we have to. You don't punish them in terms of financial damages, like we're taking money away from you. But you say, look, you're a danger to society. We need to put you in a jail.
Well, no, a low example for I run a red light and I don't hit anyone. Well, I didn't hit anyone. No ticket. Great. I'm gonna always run red lights because the odds are I'm not gonna hit anyone.
No, because now you're a danger to society.
So danger to society. But you were saying before that we just go after the actual damages you caused. What if you haven't caused damage yet?
I didn't say. I didn't say just go after the damage you caused. I said make sure that people know the damage they caused that normally isn't paid attention to.
Okay, so you want an asymmetric system where you have the fines and punishments for crimes, and if you happen to cause a problem for someone else unforeseen, like you're in a minor car accident, but because you're in a tiny minor car accident, someone rich behind you has something
it has nothing
happen.
to do with someone rich behind you, but it's like, you got to make the person realize, look, you because of your negligence, you caused this incredibly large amount of traffic to be backed up for hours.
I doubt they'll care.
And you have to make them realize that. If someone caused all that trouble, make them pay some money to the state. More than usual.
But then you set up a system where if you're in an accident in rush hour, you ever cause a problem that has unforeseen consequences, freak accidents could...
It's not an unforeseen consequence. It's totally foreseen. You know that if you get an accident in rush hour, you'll cause a lot of traffic compared to getting in an accident.
But are you going to pay a fine representative of the problems you have caused?
Not but they should just make them realize, look, we're adding on this extra thing because of all the trouble you caused.
So all you're really
feel bad and sort of encourage, safer driving during rush hour, make it worse to get in an accident, stuff like that.
I think the best way around that would be if the police officers who respond to accidents, once they know whose fault it was, were just not polite. Or maybe yelled at him, laid into him a little bit.
Maybe, you just got to play weeaboo with everyone who gets delayed.
It. Here's a great way around this. If you cause an accident and the police are able to determine that you caused the accident...
Which is a science, by the way.
Then you have to appear for whatever length of time at the place where you caused the accident so people driving by can see you with one of those Puritan signs, like the Scarlet Letter.
That's fine.
Or you have to wear a badge, some kind of yellow badge on your shoulder that with a picture of a car. I don't know.
I delayed like those police in, what was it? Taiwan or Thailand.
China?
They
I
had
don't
to wear
remember.
like the Hello Kitty armbands.
See, I'd wear the Hello Kitty. I like Hello Kitty.
I would also-
Well, no. I like Botsmaru.
That's what I was about to say.
Liking Hello Kitty is just a side effect of liking Botsmaru.
Yeah, I like Botsmaru. Hello Kitty sucks.
Hello Kitty's kind of awesome, though.
Not really.
You can't really underestimate Hello Kitty.
Well, there's that other guy, the Pachaco. I thought you would like him.
So speaking of underestimating people, the federal government in the United States set up something called the Terror Watch List. Because Americans are deathly afraid of terrorism.
All right, so what's the terror watch list? Like Osama bin Laden, al-Zarqawi?
Despite the fact that there really has been almost zero terrorism in the history of the United States, and, there's terrorists everywhere, and we gotta, but yet there hasn't been a terror attack since September 11th, and it's really easy to be a terrorist.
No, but didn't we avert all those terror attacks, and weren't there terror attacks in other countries?
Oh, yeah, because remember when we arrested those kids who were on vacation, and then we looked at their vacation footage and said, yeah, they were filming Disneyland so they could blow it up, but it's just films of them laughing and running around Disney. Anyway, so we've set up this terror list where people who are suspected terrorists are on the list, and we give them extra scrutiny, and if they try to fly, we don't let them, and, well, there's almost 1 million people on that list now.
There's 1 million terrorists? Oh, man, we're in big trouble.
There are 755,000 people on the terror watch list. They're adding an average of 200,000 people per year. 548 people every day, as far as our government concerned, become terror suspects.
Uh-huh.
And even better, all the studies they've been doing lately.
So when is everyone going to be a terrorist? In what year?
Well, I think it's kind of like when I was in high school, and they had Student of the Week. And I remember I was like, oh, great, Student of the Week? Because someone cool was Student of the Week the first week of school. But then someone else was Student of the Week, and someone else was Student of the Week. And then I discovered that they've set it up to where effectively every single person in the school will be Student of the Week at some point in their 4 years. They keep track. Everyone gets it. Everyone gets it once. Yeah. So this terror watch list, I don't know what else I can say about this news. It's staggering to me that it still exists. And even better, it doesn't even work. They do a bunch of studies and they show that people on the list can just get on planes anytime they want.
The answer to this is obvious, right? Somebody decided that it was a good idea to come up with this list. Some politician, would use this list, like I made this list as part of their campaign to show how tough they were in terrorism, whatever, right? Politics generated this list. Someone in the government, it's their job to manage this list. And they don't want to lose their job, so they're just constantly adding people to the list. And that explains the whole thing. It's just bureaucracy.
What's
There's
great
nothing
is
else
that
to it.
the list is really poorly done. There are so many cases. You can see these on Fark all the time where, an infant will be denied from flying because it happens to have the same name as some guy who might be a suspected terrorist.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, the U.S. is really kind of great right now. But luckily, I think it's going to come to an end because I wanted to talk about politics for my news, but Scott didn't want me to for some reason.
I'm just kind of tired of it all.
But in the U.S., the Republicans...
Everyone knows it sucks. Geeknights talking about it isn't telling anyone anything new.
Well, I'll enlighten everyone out there who may not be a U.S. citizen. The Republicans in the United States are currently almost unelectable and don't have any candidates. So their reign is over, and it's pretty much for the presidency coming down between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. And
it'd be awesome. Like if Hillary gets Democratic nomination or something. Like Obama goes Republicans, something like that.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
No, but that'd be crazy cool.
Yeah, but I thought Ron Paul was gonna save the day.
Oh
yes.
Yeah. I think Ralph Nader or Ross Perot will win before Ron Paul.
God, Ralph Nader.
Yeah.
You were cool in the 80s.
He's really tall.
Yes,
I saw him once.
He's freakishly tall.
I saw Ralph Nader once. He could fucking play. He's like Michael Jordan.
He's really thin though, really kind of gangly and skeletal.
Like Michael Jordan.
Like Skeletor.
Yeah. He's also old. He's 60 something.
Yeah, I think that's all we have to say about that.
Old and tall. So, this guy in 1955 named Homer Jacobson.
You said Homer J, and the fact that you didn't say Simpson threw my brain for a loop.
Well, Jacobson, not Jake Simpson.
But Homer J, the Simpson comes next.
Anyway, he was a chemistry professor in Brooklyn, and he wrote a scientific paper entitled Information, Reproduction, and the Origin of Life.
And the paper may or may not have been so great. It wasn't so great, actually.
Well, in the paper, he speculated on the chemical qualities of Earth in the Hadean time, which is billions of years ago, and such, right? Regardless, some creationist nut jobs saw his paper, written in 1955. And they decided that because of this one scientific paper, that creationism is true. And here's the evidence, this one scientific paper. Now, I don't want to go into the usual creationist, stuff of why they're wrong. Because
They're wrong.
They're wrong. But I do want to say one thing here, right? If the creationists, right, this is so backwards. They say that science is wrong. And then you use a scientific paper to say that science is wrong. If you say the scientific paper is right because it's scientific, then all the other things that you disagree with are right because they're scientific. It's like, you can't have it both ways. You can't use some scientific papers as evidence and some are just bullshit.
It's much like the lesson we learned in the new game from Valve called Portal, where you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Well, it's much
unless you have a portal gun.
Well, it's sort of like how, they treat their Bible. They sort of pick and choose the parts they want, and they think they can do the same thing with science, and they don't realize it's sort of an all or nothing. You either, you don't have to adhere to every scientific paper is all true, but the fundamental tenets of science and the scientific, process, you either you go by them or you don't. You can't really.
So why specifically did he retract the paper?
I didn't actually say he retracted the paper yet, but he retracted the paper.
So why, Scott? Did he do it just because the creationists were using it? Did he do it because the paper was old and incorrect?
Well, it actually says here that Dr. Jacobson's retraction is in the noblest tradition of science. This is according to the editor of American Scientist. They said that his letter shows the distinction between a scientist who cannot let error stand, no matter the embarrassment or of public correction.
All right, well,
and people who cling to dogma.
I've actually been reading more about this, and yes, the paper has many wrong assertions in it, and the scientist who wrote it basically said, you know what?
Well, it was written in 1955, and contrary to what creationists would have you believe, older information is not more correct. It's like they always act like this is older, it's ancient wisdom, therefore it's more correct.
Well, if we go by how old a religion is, then Christianity's got some competition from the Jews.
It's got Jews, competition from, I guess, Cyclopeans. It's like,
Zeus might have something to say.
Yeah, this paper, I guess, in 1955 was, legitimate science, but since then, we've learned better than that, and we realize it's not so right. And since it's being used in a bad way, this guy was smart, and he got rid of it.
Well,
but
the thing is, I don't think it was that noble of him, because he is old enough to where he's not going to lose any fame or any prestige by retracting a paper.
And actually, I think the problem of him retracting the paper is now that creationists go, oh look, yeah, they had some science that was proving us right, and now they're retracting it. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, and it's sort of giving them more ammo with their crazy conspiracy logic, even though real logic that doesn't work out. Yep. It's funny how the crazy conspiracy nuts, right, and the creationists sort of disagree usually. I mean, they're sort of like, it seems like the people on Dig who are saying that 9/11 was, a controlled explosion.
9/11 was caused by the fake Apollo moon landing.
Exactly.
And Ron Paul is being covered up by the media.
It doesn't seem to me like there's a big overlap between those people and the creationists, but their logic is the same.
Anyway, things of the day. So I'm going to paraphrase this story because I read it on Fark a couple weeks ago, and I just found a link to it again, and you can read for all the juicy details. It's very cathartic to read. This is an inspirational story for our time. This is something that you should hold your head high and just look upon it as an example of how you should live your life. So basically what happened was a kid, some teenager, went to a convenience store, bought a bottle of malt vinegar.
Malt vinegar?
Brought it home.
Is he going to cook something?
Tried to drink it to get drunk. Got sick. Vomited all over himself.
That's what's going to happen. Don't drink malt vinegar. I mean, you can barely drink regular vinegar. How are you going to drink malt vinegar? God.
So.
Might as well drink malt cider vinegar. At least it won't taste as bad.
So,
Or red wine vinegar. Okay.
So, the mother of this kid drags the kid into the convenience store and demands an apology from the clerk who happened to be working there that day for selling her kid this dangerous substance. Clerk says, it's vinegar. There's no law says I can't sell it to a kid. I didn't think he'd drink it. I'm sorry your kid's stupid.
Yeah, tell him.
So, woman goes off and makes complaints and gets the management of the store, and they're like, the kid told my kid that he could have the malt vinegar and that if he drank it, he'd get drunk, and that it'd be okay to drink. And the manager says to the clerk, well, since you told the kid to drink it, you should apologize to the kid. And the mother's standing there with the kid, and the clerk says, apologize? I didn't say that. The kid's making shit up. All right. Now, at this point, we would have been at an impasse because we wouldn't know exactly what occurred on that day.
But luckily, it was a convenience store.
The convenience store had security tapes, and these tapes recorded audio and video 24/7.
Nice.
So, like the manager of the store and like the big manager, like the boss and the boss's boss of this clerk, are pretty much like demanding that this guy apologize. So he's like, fine, let's watch the tape. And if on the tape you see me, I tell this kid he can drink it, not only will I quit my job, but I will donate the last months of my salary to this kid and his mom. And I'll give a written formal apology and everything. All right, so they go and get the tapes and they watch them. And kid walks up. Hi. That'll be $4. Thanks. Walks out.
Is this story like confirmed true, or is this like just a tale?
I've seen multiple sources for it.
All right.
So it's very likely true.
At least it could be a little souped up, maybe.
If it's apocryphal, it doesn't matter because the moral of the story stands regardless.
Yeah, it's like an Aesop. Think of it as like an Aesop's fable. It's whether, the lion and the mouse didn't really talk, but you still learn a lesson from it that's still true.
So then the mom comes back in with the dad, who's a lion.
That was good.
Right. So now the manager and like the manager watch this thing, and they see what the clerk saw and what the mom saw, and they all saw it. And the manager says, apologize. He just kind of acts like he didn't see what he just saw and says, apologize to this kid and his mom. And he says, no.
Yeah, you tell him. It's only a convenience store job. What's the worst that can hahappen?
Yeah, well, apparently, I mean, it's kind of a small town. Like, it's a pretty good job for that kind of place.
I guess if you're a teenager.
Especially if you don't have, a degree or anything or a Cisco cert. Well, actually, if Cisco cert, that'd probably be a good job for you.
Yeah, but you know what? I bet this kid wasn't even supposed to work that day.
Well, the mother
you
then
missed my joke.
starts claiming... The mother starts claiming that the tapes were doctored.
What?
Doctored by the store to cover up the gross malfeasance. So the manager again is like, kid, apologize to this mother or we're firing you. And the kid's like, fuck this! Your kid's stupid, and he leaves.
Yeah.
Now, it would have ended at that. The manager apparently kept calling the guy, leaving him messages like, you're a shitty person for quitting this job on such short notice, and you're terrible, and you shouldn't have, you made my business suck because you ruined this. Luckily, and I never thought I'd say this, luckily, there was a union. And
there was a union for the convenience store clerk?
And also the owner of the whole chain of, like, convenience stores. And one thing led to another, and it ends with the kid getting his job back and a retroactive raise, the manager being fired, the manager's manager being demoted and docked a bunch of pay, the woman never getting her apology, and I assume the kid is still a dumbass.
Ah... Finally, a story with a correct ending.
Now, on Fark, it was funny because half the comments were, yeah. And the other half were, Jesus, all this trouble and the police getting involved and all this, when the kid could have just apologized, swallowed his pride, and everything would have worked out and they could just continue down their way. And my response to that is very simply, what kind of life do you live that you lack the simple dignity to stand up for what little pride you have for when someone is lying about your character outright? to swallow your pride and accept that, that makes you a sad person.
This is how to get ahead in life. You find these people who would rather, lie and deprecate themselves.
I believe you mean
degradate themselves, and prostrate themselves before people, and take blame for things that is undeserved, and have no pride in themselves and no self-respect. If you find these people, take advantage of them. That's how you get rich. Right? You find these people who won't stand up for themselves no matter what, because they just don't want to ruffle any feathers, because they'd rather just apologize, and you say, you scratched my car. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. Give me $100 to pay for the damages, and they'll give it to you because they'd rather not ruffle any feathers. And that's how you get rich.
I skipped over a lot of the details. If you want to read the story, you can find all the links to it. I'll link to one of the accounts, and yeah, I felt good about that.
Yeah, I think the moral of the story is it shows you the difference between dignity, indignity, and no dignity.
It's like lack of dignity is the default. By default, you have no dignity except for the basic dignity inherent in being a living thing and being a sentient living thing. But
no dignity is the boss and the people on Fark who don't want to ruffle feathers. Those people have no dignity. They don't care about themselves. They just don't want to ruffle any feathers.
The clerk has dignity.
The clerk
straight
is
up
dignified.
He is dignified.
He's double dignified.
He is replete with dignity.
Yep. And the mom and the kid are, well, maybe not the kid. The kid's just stupid, but the mom is indignant.
I note that the kid, while stupid about the malt vinegar, is probably smart in terms of lying about the clerk. Because he knows his mom. He, of course, knows how his mom's going to react.
And also, apple not falling far from tree.
Ah, true.
I just want to point out, though.
Kid, bargle, 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 blah. Mom, why'd you bargle everywhere? Kid, drank malt vinegar. Mom, why the fuck? Kid, that guy told me to.
Yeah.
Knowing that the mom's anger would be redirected at the guy.
It's so weird, right? The way parents, like most parents, at least that I've seen, right? If their kid is lying about something they did, like, the mom comes like, did you spill that all over the floor? No. Yes, you did. You're lying to me. But when it's like, if the kid blames it on someone else, the parent will defend their kid, even if, it's like you believe your kid 100% when you think someone else is to blame, but you'll know your kid is lying immediately.
Man, if I had come home and drank a bottle of malt vinegar and thrown up all over my house, and I tried to say that some guy told me to do it, my dad would have just laughed and told me to clean it up.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, I also actually looked up the definition of, indignant to make sure, because we've been using that word a lot lately.
Yeah, well, I think we use it in the very specific sense in, the best way to see it is fat indignant woman.
Yeah.
You've met her. She's out there.
Yep, but the actual definition in the dictionary is sort of like, if someone's angry about injustice, then they are indignant. And
zombie eat brain.
If you take that, right, then we're often angry about injustice. I mean, if in this story, like, the mom and the managers had won, then us complaining about that would be technically indignant.
When we complain about indignance, what we are actually complaining about are people who are indignant, yet are lacking the initial dignity to give them cause to be indignant
it's sort
in
of
the
like
first case.
It's sort of like people who are falsely indignant. It's like this righteous indignation, which is sort of like what we have, where we're indignant.
Yes, I love this. We're righteous.
Exactly, but our indignancy is righteous. Whereas this lady, she was indignant. She was upset about what she viewed as injustice. The problem is she was on the side against justice. So it's sort of this false indignation that makes us so indignant.
I think falsely indignant people they seek perverse justice in order to justify to themselves their inflated and undeserved sense of dignity.
Yes. Whereas people who actually have dignity, they don't really get upset because they know they're right.
So I assume your thing of the day is something about a car.
Could be, because that I told you before.
Well, not only that, but you've been talking about this a lot.
I've done this, I think, twice as a thing of the day before, but now it's the real deal.
It doesn't matter what your actual thing of the day is. I think your real thing of the day is just the same as the previous ones, which is the thing I'm about to talk about is awesome.
Pretty much. The Tokyo Motor Show is happening very recently, maybe a day ago, maybe still now. I'm not quite sure what the dates are, but it basically happened as far as you're concerned. And at the Tokyo Motor Show, they revealed many cars. Many cars. All the cars that matter, basically. One of those cars is long awaited. One of those cars is perhaps the most intimidating motor vehicle that is street legal in any country. And that car is, of course, the Nissan GTR.
You know, I'm not like, I like cars, but I'm not like a car nut. But there are a few cars that I picture myself driving, and I imagine just this immensely enjoyable, like somewhat transcendent experience.
Yeah.
And it pretty much comes down to the RX-7 and the GTR.
The RX-7 is not so exciting in reality.
Yes, it is. I've been in it. It's crazy fast.
It's crazy
scary.
fast, but
it's really scary to be in an RX-7 that's being driven by a competent driver at high speed.
Man, it's scary to do that in any car, but the GTR... I'm not going to tell you everything there is to know about this car.
I'll sum it up. It's a robot car. It basically drives for you.
Well, specifically, right? This is the first ever car to have an independent transaxle four-wheel drive system. Now, the original GTR, which was, semi four-wheel drive, had the Atessa ETS system, which is basically a computer that does traction control to make it so easy to drive the car that you can basically just floor it and turn the wheel like you're playing Gran Turismo.
And if you start to slip, it'll just correct on its own.
Yeah. This independent transaxle four-wheel drive system, so each individual wheel is on its own thing, and all wheels have power going to them in varying degrees. That's the technology they ban in F1. That's what we're talking about here. You can literally get in this car, being a shitty driver, floor it, and just turn the wheel when you get to turns and not even look at the brake, unless you're going downhill or something crazy. And you'll probably beat a guy in a Porsche, most likely. It is that crazy. The car is, I think, $70,000, which is not bad.
I could, I'm not gonna.
Of course, it's Japan only right now, but who knows? The car is not pretty, but it is very intimidating looking. It is a scary motherfucker.
I like the way GTRs look, because they look they powerful.
Yeah, it looks like, it doesn't look like a Ferrari. Like, oh man, like that's a beautiful work of art. It looks like, it's the personality of the car, which is, I'm going to fuck you up. And like the original GTR, there was like a video screen, not really like a video screen to watch movies on, but like a screen in the car that we would let you show like all these different displays, like G-forces and, different meters and things. The new one has the same kind of screen, only updated for modern times. And that screen, not unintentionally, all the user interface of that screen was designed by the developers of Gran Turismo.
Huh.
Anything else I have to say about this car, you can just read on the website, but be on the lookout for GTRs. And if you don't really understand the craziness that is the GTR and, the aura of this beast.
Scott, you want to buy one?
I would.
We could easily afford it.
We could.
We could share a GTR.
What am I going to do with it?
Drive it to Otakon.
Yeah, how are we going to fit our stuff in it?
We wouldn't need to bring anything. We'd have a GTR. We just sit
all
in
right,
the car.
You drive my car to Otakon with all this stuff, and I'll drive the GTR to Otakon, and then I'll be there before you.
Actually, I got a better idea. You drive your car to Otakon with all the stuff in it, and I'll drive the GTR.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
Right.
fine, but then I'll drive the GTR from Otakon to Wildwood, and I'll be there in like a half hour.
But speaking of GTRs, tonight we're going to talk about something that I've always found fascinating because, as you all know,
It has nothing to do with GTRs, obviously.
I've been doing that a lot. I do a segue that's just a complete non sequitur, but yet
Like, speaking of fire, water.
I've had a few that were actually clever, but not many. Right, but as you know, we were really into the 12 Byzantine Emperors podcast, and as many of you should know, part of what happened as the Western Roman Empire fell was that the Visigoths moved in, and not getting into all the history, but tonight we were talking about the Visigothic invasions of Beacon, New York.
Ah, well, what century did they come here?
The aughts.
Before or after George Washington?
You see, there's kind of an inside joke in the crew. Well, in between me and Scott and Emily, but we often entertain guests because where we live, Scott and I have always been kind of the center of the front row crew. And while some of you out there, friends may be listening, might balk, you can't pretend that wasn't true. As long as we were in college, where did anyone ever gather but our apartment? Where did anyone ever get together but around us? Where did anyone ever go to a con but if we went?
Yep. I mean, and it's like, remember that time, if anything proves it, remember that time we wanted to go to the city and we said, all right, this is what we got to do. And the people didn't do it. And then they were like, blaming it on us.
I think what proved it more than anything was at the Otakon, the first time Scott and I did a panel together, and we lost our voices just from all the Geek Night stuff we were doing at Otakon. So we could not talk. And the whole crew was going to go to Wildwood after the con. And Scott and I were waiting for Yuko because she had some stuff to do and we were giving her a ride. So that was going to take a couple hours. The rest of the crew could have left at any time. They were waiting for us, and they just kind of stood around like waiting for us to make a move. They were hungry, but they wouldn't go eat. They wanted to leave, but they just wouldn't. They waited for us to give them direction. Because we didn't, they just stood there.
Yep.
It was beautiful. But all that aside, we often entertain large quantities of our Visigothic friends. We call them Visigoths because we have never had our friends at our house without them permanently damaging large swatches of our house.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what you do, it's easy to have like a few people come over to your house for like, a quiet evening and not have anything, damaged or not have a hard time to clean up. But pretty much no matter who you invite, even if you invite like a bunch of grandmas over to your house, if there's a lot of people coming to your house, they're gonna fuck shit up. So, and the longer they stay there and the more they stay there, the more people they are, the more you're going to need to feed them, the more they're going to need to go to the bathroom, the more they're going to need to shower, the more stuff they're going to bring, and the more they're going to fuck up your shit.
Wonderfully, they're coming tomorrow for another weekend.
I wonder how many of them will listen to this episode before coming.
I wonder if any of them will be angry.
Oh, tough.
Yeah, luckily they've gotten better, but I guess we'll start at the beginning. Like before, because they've gotten better.
If anyone complains, let's do it at their house.
Partly because we've been jerks about it, but
we kind of had to be jerks about it. How long were we not jerks about it? Years.
Well, one thing we did notice is that in Colony we didn't care because that apartment was in a trash state all the time.
Pretty
because
much.
It was
a college apartment on campus.
Tiny, and it was a dungeon, and we'd cram like 20 people into a building, a little room that barely had enough space for 2 people to live in.
Yeah.
Those were good times.
But then again, people weren't sleeping in it besides us so much.
Yeah, but
and it was never a lot of people sleeping in it, maybe like 1 or 2.
Remember when those 2 drunk girls wandered in randomly and played DDR with us?
And they didn't even mess anything up, not even spilling a drop of beer.
They were probably some of the best house guests we've ever had.
Maybe.
Well, I forgot about that until just now, but
I didn't. All right.
I digress. Right. So, in addition to all that, we live central to the front row crew. The crew lives up in Albany and out in Philly and down and Jerk, but we're at the epicenter of the front row crew. So of course,
geographically speaking,
we host Dungeons and Dragons monthly.
Yeah, because if we did it in Albany, well, then some people would have to drive like 3 hours, and we would have to drive 1 hour. But if we had it down in Philly, the Albany people would have to drive like 4 hours, and we would have to drive like an hour. So having it in the middle is the least. No one has to make an incredibly long trip. We sort of get the best average trip time, keep it low as possible.
We also have the biggest house, well, except for Ugly Fred, but that house is inhabited by other people, too, that might not take kindly to periodic Visigothic
invasions. We have
invasions.
the house that is most conducive. I mean, even our house is not conducive to D&D playing. If we had a basement, it would be so much better.
You know what? Our house would be perfectly conducive to it if people did not also spend the night.
That's true. But yeah, our house is not so conducive to it, but it's the most conducive house we have that only geeks live in, and we can make a ruckus and all that stuff. Where, we couldn't really do that at, say, my parents' house, which is only about an hour from here because, well, my parents live there and there's no really big rooms.
I've actually considered, because it wouldn't be that much money, just getting a ballroom at one of the hotels near us every time we have D&D.
Yeah, for like half a day.
And just charge everyone, split up the cost and just rent
catering.
It for... Yeah, get catering. We're thinking about doing that in the future.
It's not a bad idea.
So, yeah.
I mean, we pay a lot of money when people come over. It's just sort of invisible because it's, you don't realize, you spend a lot more at the grocery store and you had to buy, cups and plates and things and the damages. But
the thing is, our friends, we know they're capable of not being Visigoths because when we go to, say, Wildwood and stay at our friend Skojo's house and the beach, that place is immaculate when they leave it.
Because
immaculate.
his mom is a jerk to everybody and makes everyone clean up.
And I guess we learned her lesson because
she sort of threatens because she's like, I'm letting you stay at this wonderful beach house. And because you're staying at this wonderful beach house, for free, where normally it would cost a fortune, you sort of feel, obligated. Like, I'm not paying anything to be here. I'm going to be as nice as I can and be as clean as I can. And that's what you should do.
Except for Captain He Who Shall Not Be Named, who sat in the couch, clipping his toenails into the couch.
Okay, yeah, but that's what you should do, is what I just said, and that's what we do. But when people come here, because, we're not someone's mom, we're, their friends and not their friend's mom.
And we're also just really laid back. We sound kind of like grr on the show because we're very opinionated, but in terms of actually living our lives, we're pretty laid back.
We're very laid back. We care a lot less about the cleanliness than our friend's mom does. And because our house isn't, it doesn't feel like a privilege to come to our house. It's not like you're getting to stay on the beach for nothing. It's like you're just going to your friend's house. It doesn't feel like a privilege.
Granted, were I not here, Scott would live in abject filth.
No,
but I digress.
If Rim were not here, I would live in immaculate
abject
cleanliness.
filth.
No, you would live in abject filth if that wasn't here.
Aha.
Yeah.
Well, sadly, our third opinion is out getting food currently, so we can't query.
Yeah, just as actual evidence, though, I want to say that back in the days when we were in Colony, right? Colony was pretty much always a mess. But whenever any one of us, either one of us, was out, like, going home or something like that for an extended period of time,
the house would become spotless
the house would
instantly.
so if any one of us was alone, the house is spotless. But the two of us together would be a mess.
Well, part of that was whenever one of us was alone, it also meant that the rest of the Visigoths weren't around either.
Usually meant we had time to clean. And I think if either of us lived alone, we would have time to clean, and then stuff would be clean.
But yeah, I just remember that, like, the first few times we had, the majority of the front row crew over. And we're not talking about a crazy party like our slightly famous New Year's parties that are kind of epic. But a mess is expected after a party. But just playing D&D, that people broke like 5 glasses and just hit them. Like, and to this day, no one ever admitted to it, but we found broken glasses.
Yeah, there was a broken glass in the sink. Someone broke it. No one fessed up.
There was another broken glass behind the couch. I wasn't sure how it got there. Things were knocked over. There were spills everywhere. Dirty dishes everywhere. Half-eaten food I found more half-full cans of soda than I found empty cans.
That's something that, people sort of fight with me on this, but, the way I drink beverages...
Scott is a freaking weirdo.
People say is weird, and it is different from everyone else, so I'll just let that go for now. And when I drink something, I either use a cup or I don't. And if I do use a cup, I fill the cup with beverage, and then I hold it in my hand until it is done, and that usually doesn't take very long. I usually drink the whole thing in one go, or 2 goes at the most. Like if it's something particularly difficult to drink. I guess hot chocolate takes me a while to drink because I don't want to burn myself.
See, you're just weird. Real people have a glass and they like to nurse a drink. You set it down on a coaster or somewhere and you drink it while you're being social,
right,
especially with alcoholic beverages.
People, when they come over, they seem to have it's not just, nursing a drink or...
Oh, no, I know exactly what it is.
They leave it unattended and they never go back to it.
One is that I have a extensive collection of liquor, right? Like, I basically have a fully stocked bar and a large...
Not really.
I can make any normal drink. The only drinks I can't make are drinks that only old men, like really old men
drink.
Can't
make a Harvey Wallbanger.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. Harvey Wallbanger's not good.
Anyway.
That's an inside
joke. Yeah.
But I can make all normal drinks. I can't make stupid frat boy drinks because those drinks are stupid. And I can't make frou-frou drinks because those drinks are also stupid. But I can make normal drinks. And everyone seems to want to drink, and that's fine. But everyone will, want to drink something different. And everyone will make, a weird drink. And then they'll only drink, a little bit of that drink. And then they'll want to make another weird drink. And then I'll find, 8 half-finished drinks. And that's a lot of liquor that people wasted.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's the thing that bothers me the most is not that you don't finish your drink, right? It's if you don't finish your drink, at least... even if it's expensive liquor and you feel bad, just dump it down the sink and wash the glass or something, Yeah. They take this glass, they leave glasses and cans half full or mostly full or even untouched, and then they walk away from them. At least if you're not going to hold on to it and drink it, pick it up, carry it with you where you're going, and set it down someplace new. And don't set it in a precarious position. I mean, how many times has there been like a half-full can of soda, someone just leaves it on the floor, and then it tips eventually?
Yep.
And it's like you don't know, especially with an aluminum can, if it's full or empty. There's no way to know.
Yeah, the other fun thing was that luckily we actually don't eat or drink what the rest of the Visigoths eat or drink anymore, which has kind of saved us a lot of money because we really, in our fridge is just juice and seltzer water and Red Bull and pretty much nothing else.
Of course, they drink all those $2 Red Bulls and don't even think, it's like if you go to a restaurant with someone, right? They actually think, oh, we should, split. If we share something, they feel like they should split it. You buy someone something, they feel like they should pay you back. But if they drink a Red Bull out of your fridge, which is $2,
Red Bull is more expensive than most of the liquor I own.
I know. It's like, it's so weird. It's like they feel like if we have a bag of cookies, they feel like, oh, we can eat their cookies, and they just eat them.
Yeah,
what if those are like $10 cookies?
Yeah. Well, if I'm at someone's house and I want a drink, I usually ask the host or the person like, "Could I have something to drink?" Unless it's a house that it's family, and even then, I can say like, "Yeah, I drank some of your orange juice." Or
usually, I just drink water.
Well, that's because you're weird.
Whatever.
I drink other things, as most people do, but luckily we don't drink soda anymore, like crap soda. High fructose corn syrup water.
Yep.
And even worse, a lot of them drink diet soda, which I don't get that times a million.
Yeah, it's just fucked up.
And I remember that once we stopped having things that, like, I just don't keep Dr. Pepper or anything around anymore, and I actually hide my Red Bull and all my fancy boiling sodas and things whenever they come, and as a result, they always open the fridge, stare, and the fridge is fully stocked. There's a lot to drink, but nothing they like. They need high fructose corn syrup water, and then they go out and buy a bunch, and then they drink it all warm.
And now we know that if we see a high fructose corn syrup undrunken, it wasn't us.
I think they drink about half of what they buy, and they leave the rest in unfinished cans all over the house.
Maybe. All right,
Yeah.
but anyway, on the show, we're going to tell you, I guess, the rest of the time we have.
We already did.
Do we have time left?
Yeah, we got time.
All right, I'm going to tell you some tips if you want to have goths come over to your house, how to keep your house from getting totally destroyed.
Rule number 1, I'd like to drink, especially real drinks, like
I
alcoholic
like how
beverages,
most of it is just involving drinks, but there's a lot more than that.
out of glass glasses, like nice tumblers or wine glasses or whatever. And if you're having a nice party, you should do that. If you have a few friends over, you should do that. But if your friends can't be trusted to return glasses to the kitchen or to not break them, red Solo cups.
Yep.
Give everyone at the start one red Solo cup, write their name on it, and that's it.
Yeah, and say you're not getting another one, and they have to clean that one out.
Or they have to at least show you I'm throwing this away. I want to drink something different. May I have another red Solo cup?
I think the first rule though is only be as mean and jerkish as you have to be. It's like, if they keep it relatively clean and you don't have to jerk them around, don't jerk them around. But it's sort of like wait, and then as their level of gothicness goes up, increase your level of jerkishness to counteract.
We'll give you the levels. Level 1, your real glasses. Level 2, your crappy plastic glasses that are only used when friends come over. Level 3, pile of red Solo cups. Level 4, named red Solo cups.
Yeah, at level 5, you treat everyone like children.
Sippy cups?
Sippy cups.
God, we should buy sippy cups.
Not a bad idea. All right. Next thing you gotta do when the goths come over is sort of like, you gotta make people realize, how much money they're costing you.
When the first time we had D&D at our house and we said we'll provide all the snacks and everything, we provided literally $300 worth of snacks and drinks, all told, for the weekend.
And then we said, we expect that when you guys come here next, we're not gonna provide snacks and drinks. You will provide your own.
So what do they bring next time?
Look at the level that we have provided, and you will get an idea of the level we expect you to provide.
We provided breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, drinks, everything.
Yep.
For the whole weekend.
I even got the high-quality brand of hot dogs and blankets instead of the low-quality store brand.
And I made hors d'oeuvres, and it was a nice time. So the next time, people cooked something and made a big mess and didn't clean up after it, but that's a whole separate problem.
Yep.
But it wasn't that much money and it wasn't enough food for everyone, so we had to supplement. So we basically ended up spending about $100 worth of our snacks anyway.
Yep.
Fast forward to the third time, no one brought anything, and they ate all our food.
Yep.
Fast forward to the next time people came, and we made sure that all our food was hidden. And everyone was super hungry the whole time, and they brought like crappy, like, you know, those really cheap, like sour cream, Rumple, whatever, potato chips.
I hate any of those. Like, I like snack food, you know, don't get me wrong. You know, as much as I rag on fast food and unhealthy snack foods and shit, you know, I like me a pretzel or a potato chip, you know.
I've changed.
Corn chips.
When I was in high
salsa.
school, I could eat like a whole bag of Cheetos.
Yeah, but any of that stuff that has like the flavoring, like if it's a real potato chip, I'm down. But if it's like one of those flavored potato chips, I mean, is a difference. Like if you have some actual like onion dip, that's good stuff. But like the fake flavor powder is really what bothers me the most. Even if it's a flavor I like, it's like I can't eat fake flavor powder. It all tastes like combos. It's disgusting. Oh God.
Well, I think our issue was, and of course, this has just turned into us bitching about our friends for an hour.
Awesome.
So let's
easy
see.
episode.
So think, potato chips, right? We provided the dark russets, like the nice, fancy, awesome potato chips. And then when it's their turn, they brought the cheapest, well, I guess the second cheapest potato chips you can buy.
Yeah, basically the store brand stuff.
Yeah. And we provided like Dr. Pet, like real soda. They brought like Dr. W.
Dr. W. Actually, you know, Wegmans had a great selection of store brands. Even though I never drank it, they had a wide selection of store brand stuff. ShopRite does not have that.
No, it doesn't.
It does not really like a Dr. S. You know, they don't have, maybe they have Mr. Pibb. I don't know.
But even then, that Wegman stuff wasn't as good as actual soda. But then again, none of that is good as, you know, like boiling soda. But that stuff's expensive. And no one's going to bring that to our house. So there's no way I'm going to provide that to my friends anymore.
Yeah. What else should you do? I guess if you really have to, you can like duct tape your like fridge and your cupboards shut, you know, to sort of be like, you know, because someone walks up, you know, they don't even think about it.
You know, we did that. And one of our friends came up to me in my room like Friday night and says, "Hey, Rim, I was looking for glasses and there was tape. I don't know where it came from on your cupboard. So I cut it all and yeah." And I was like, "Oh, God." Like, didn't you think maybe that tape was for you?
Yeah, it's sort of like, you know, you put the, what you had to do if you're hosting anything is you put the stuff out that you want people to eat, you put it out. And anything hidden, you keep it hidden. And like, if you got Malamars, you gotta lock that shit up in like your bedroom closet.
They'll eat everything. We started, finally, and now they all bring their own food. And I don't like any of their food, and it's really crappy usually, but we let them bring it all.
I also don't like their food.
And we eat from our hidden food that's like hidden up in our rooms throughout the time.
Yeah.
But, I forgot where I was going with that. I had something I wanted to say, but I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
But, like, figure out how much food you're going to provide, and I guess as long as other people will either pay or reciprocate, then yeah, go for it. But if money becomes a problem, just stop providing food and they'll deal with it on their own.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing if you're hosting, you know, like a Christmas party that you invited people to. You know, then you're like a host and you invited people to a party at your house.
Like our New Year's party, we buy catering every year. We don't charge people money. We just catering. Here, we got a bunch of food.
We're hosting a party. But if it's people just coming to your house for an event, you know, and they're sort of make it, you know, I mean, you want to be hospitable and let people make themselves at home. You know, you don't want them to feel like they're at some event and they can't, you know, be relaxed and whatever. But
I've seen some of their apartments.
Yeah, but if they make themselves at home and their home is, it's like not good. Like, you don't want a homeless person making themselves at home in your house. I mean, well, at least most homeless people who are, you know, dirty and you know, bummy.
The stabbing kind, not the singing kind.
Yeah, exactly, the stabbing kind. They make themselves at home in your clean house. Your home is gonna be a pigsty.
Yeah. Well, like food, and actually, one of our other friends had takes the same issue with all of our friends because she does the same thing that we like to do, but we kind of stopped doing because no one seems to appreciate or care. But like, we'll actually make like nice hors d'oeuvres and fancy things and bring out like a tray of cheese and crackers and nuts and fruit, like food. Nice food, here you go. And she does the same thing when people come over. And the rest of our friends pretty much look at it and go, oh, and eat it all. And that's it.
Yep.
No, thank you, no anything. Just they eat it all, and then they're still hungry, and then they bitch about how they're still hungry.
I don't even need to thank you, because I don't really care about manners. I just need, okay, thank me by not fucking up my house.
Or, I don't know, bring some hors d'oeuvres next time, so I don't have to.
Yeah. It's like, I don't need you to say thank you. I don't need you to act thankful. I just need you to not do things that suck. Because then it feels like I'm paying you stuff. I'm giving you things, and then you're taking more things away.
Luckily, there's one saving grace. Very few of our friends actually drink wine, so I can always open a bottle of the wine and do all the nice But in the end, everyone gets like a small glass, and they don't even finish it, and then I just get to drink most of the bottle.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Wino.
I like wine.
What you should do is you should take some hobo wine, right? You finish a bottle of real wine, take hobo wine, take a funnel, fill the real wine with the hobo wine, right?
Well, I did that
Then
with
be like,
vodka.
who wants a wine? Here's some wine for you, and you pour it from your fancy wine bottle, but it's hobo wine.
You know
so
what?
Give everyone hobo wine that they're not going to finish, and then you drink your nice wine.
I think what I'm going to do, maybe not this time, but yeah, I'll probably, if I can, I'll get time, I'll prepare it. I'll set it up to where I'll have some crap wine that is actually crap, like bad wine.
Night Train.
And
Thunderbird.
So any of our friends who listen to this episode before they come tomorrow will know and be ready for this.
Let's go like tomorrow. Let's go down to the and get some Thunderbird. Hell, I'll buy some on the way home from work.
Yeah, do it.
I'm gonna get
Night Train, red whatever wine.
I'm gonna get the hobo wine basically.
And I got some nice wine bottles, and it'll just be a test. Not even of the Visigoth thing. I'll just find out.
We could try with beer too. I can go get some Steel Reserve.
I'm just gonna find out which of our friends, because whenever I pour wine, people are always like, "Oh, this is a good Chianti," or "I like the taste of it," or "It's very And I can tell to a degree. Like, I think a lot of people take wine way too seriously and make a lot of shit up. But there's good wine and there's bad wine. I have drank wine that was terrible, and I've had wine that was good. But I think a lot of our friends just say things that they don't actually know and they can't tell. And if I gave them hobo wine, they'd probably say, "Oh, this is good. It's sweet."
It's sweet. It tastes like grape juice. I mean, I've tasted it, even though I don't like it. Hey, Rim, what's the word? Thunderbird. Has it sold? Good and cold. What's the jive? Birds alive. What's the price? 30 twice.
I got some pictures of us drinking the hobo wine in Wildwood.
That was MD 2020.
That's hobo
I think
wine.
Thunderbird will be more convincing because it's like a white wine and not like, it doesn't look like grape juice.
I got a really nice Riesling that I finished a while ago, and I still have the bottle. I'll refill that Riesling bottle with
Thunderbird?
Yeah.
See, the thing is, if just one person listens to this episode, they'll tell everyone else.
Only if they're jerks. It'll serve two purposes. One, we'll find out who among our friends are traitors. And two, we'll find out if no one is a traitor, who among our friends is a tool when it comes to saying wine tastes good. Because I have
like, oh yeah, you should hype it up. Be like, oh, this is a fancy French wine.
I'll go straight up. Like, this is like a Gewürztraminer. Like, this is one of my like fancy spice wines that I really like. Because
they
really
drink
like
it
those.
and they say, oh wow, this is really great. That's Thunderbird.
I'll be like, this is an Alsatian wine. Can you taste the spices? Yeah, I can. That's Mad Train. There's the only spices in there.
Hobo pee. Well, this show has turned into a lot more of a beverage show, so that should please you people who are always arguing for food shows.
Yeah, the real thing is we've mostly solved the Visigoth problem, and they're better. Even though the last time they came over, they broke our screen door.
Wow.
Like, just ripped it, and none of them will admit to have done it, but we know one of them did it.
So the thing is, I can kind of sympathize with that a little bit, because sometimes you break something you don't realize, It's like, if you break a glass, if you just drop it, you broke it. There's no question, right? But sometimes, like, if you put a glass in the sink and then you're trying to do dishes, like something might fall onto the glass and crack, which means you were doing the dishes wrong, but you might not realize that it actually happened. Like you might be walking, you bump into the screen door and you just keep walking. You don't even realize that you just broke it. That kind of thing can happen. It has happened to me.
I don't think it can. Well, I'm of the
It's
mind
happened
that,
to me in the past where I've broken something, not realized it, but then later when it was pointed out, I would say, oh, I remember. I must have broke it when this happened.
I don't know, but then again, we pointed out and no one fessed up.
I know.
Yeah. Plus, I just can't imagine being so unaware of my body that I would just crash into things and knock things. Because that's the other people knock things over. Like, it
is crowded, and people are trying
crowded.
to move around a lot in a very crowded
But
and tight space.
I just point out that neither Scott nor I have ever knocked something over during a session of Dungeons and Dragons.
All right. Well, the only argument I can make as to why that would be the case, I'm trying
skinny.
to like devil's advocate.
We're really
here.
skinny.
Oh, we're not. No. Is that you can sort of walk through your own house in the dark without looking, and to our house, even though they come here often, is still a slightly stranger place, and they don't have the sort of muscle reflex of going around the house. Like if it was dark, they might fall over in our house.
Oh, but to play the anti-devil's advocate, the things they knock over are things that are like they're trying to maneuver around the table to sit back down at the D&D table, and they just slam into the table and knock everything over.
I think also a few of our friends are generally clumsier than we are.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Anything else?
Well, I think what it came down to in the end was, like, a few times ago, we just were jerks about it, straight up, and we pissed off all our friends by basically saying, don't trash our house or we're not playing games here. In fact, we even said, we're going to play D&D Sunday morning, and the house was an absolute disaster. So we just said, no D&D is being played until the house is back to the way it was before you guys
of course,
arrived.
When I was trying to enforce that decision, you were not really backing me up so much.
Because you were being crazy about it. You went a little beyond.
You got to back me up or else it doesn't work. They'll just be like, yeah, whatever, we're playing.
But the thing is, we didn't play. We waited, because I backed you up on that part.
Yeah, but they didn't clean up as much as they could, It wasn't 100% clean.
Yeah, well, part of the problem was that there were a bunch of messes, and we went to each one, and we're like, look at this pile of crap. Who made this pile? And no one would fess up. Who did that? And everyone would say, it wasn't me. Don't get mad at me.
Because it isn't any individual person for any individual mess. If any one of our friends came over, they would make no mess, basically.
Well, except Scott Johnson.
Always making fun of Scott Johnson.
Thing
It's
is,
too easy. But
Scott
collectively...
Johnson, he's funny because he makes a big mess whenever he arrives anywhere. But the mess contracts and disappears the moment he leaves because he keeps track of all his stuff.
Because basically what it does, he just brings a bunch of unnecessary shit over, is the thing.
Well, but some of it is very, very necessary.
Some of it is.
Like the GameCube games.
Yeah.
And the DVDs.
But basically, I think another thing you can do to help, unless you have a lot, it's like when I go over, I go to my relative's house, right? It's just always been, like, no one even thinks about it, right? Is when I go, and all of our family does this, right? We go to my aunts, any uncle, any grandma, anything. When you walk in the door, the people who live in the house sort of take all the coats and things, right? All the coats and all the bags and everything, and they bring it up and they put it in someone's bedroom. The thing is, no one's sleeping over, so it's like, if you're staying for dinner and then going home, no one's going in the bedrooms. So they put all the stuff on like a bed in one of the bedrooms, and then when everyone leaves, they all take it out.
Yeah, that's what all civilized people do.
Right, exactly. But, because people are staying the night, we can't have a system like that, and we need to sort of force people to like keep as much as their stuff out as possible in their cars and stuff.
Well, I think the real problem there too is that people bring a lot of stuff. And they just let it get everywhere. And every Sunday when people are trying to leave
a lot
of
stuff behind. Everyone leaves stuff behind constantly.
We've started just throwing a lot of it away without saying anything.
Yeah, I mean, the socks left behind every time that aren't mine and aren't rims, we just throw them out.
Yeah, people leave bathrooms. Our bathroom, every time they leave, we have like 4 new conditioners and 2 new shampoos, and we have 2 loofahs.
We have loofahs. The loofahs they left the loofahs on the stairway, hanging on the railing to the stairs outside the bathroom. Who even puts a loofah there to begin with?
Perhaps you do not know what it is used
Do you
for.
hang the loofahs on the stair railing in your house?
I just like saying loofah.
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 You know what? Loofah is backwards?
Aloof.
A fool.
Yeah, but it just came down to we had to be jerks about it, and it kind of worked.
Made a good episode.
Yeah, well, it kind of worked, and they don't mess up our house nearly as badly as they used to. And now we just have to teach them things. Like, people always say, oh, and they do the dishes.
Like one time someone did the dishes with the bathroom sponge.
Yeah, so we had to
It's
do the
partially
dishes
my
again.
fault for leaving that sponge there in the first place, but it was pretty obvious one was a dish sponge and one was
a horrible
One was
sponge.
covered in hairs.
Or just, I don't know. We just had to be jerks, and
Having a dishwasher does also give us a big disadvantage.
yeah.
Not having a dishwasher, I mean.
I think the only real complaint I have now is that people bring way too much stuff, and they leave it all over the place, and they just...
I mean, I go to their house, I bring basically 2 bags. Like, the bag I carry every day with like my laptop, my DS and stuff, and a tiny duffel bag, and that's it.
Or even if I bring
People
a lot
come
of
to
stuff...
our house with freaking luggage for a weekend. What the hell?
Well, like, this is what we do at cons, too, and it works so well. When I show up at a hotel room, and this is why we don't stay with anyone anymore. Our hotel room for cons now is pretty much like just me and Scott.
Yeah.
And I'm never getting hotel rooms for people again. Good God. But I'll like go find a little area in the hotel room or the house or whatever, and all my stuff will be compacted into that tiny little area.
Except for the bathroom stuff, which I compact into an area in the bathroom.
Yep. Or usually, actually, I leave all my bathroom stuff in my area. If I
you
go
bring
to
it
the
back
bathroom,
and forth to the bathroom?
I carry it all to the bathroom, then I carry it all out.
Sometimes, actually, I have a little toiletry bag that I use, but for a while I didn't have the toiletry bag because my brother stole it, but my mom bought me a new one. From LL Bean, I'll link to it if anyone asks in the forum. I'll link to the ultimate toiletry bag.
Yeah, there's not much moral other than that. We just kind of, we talked about doing this episode right after they came the last time, and it took us about a month to get around to actually doing it, so.
Yep. I want people for this episode in the forums, I want you to give stories of either when you went to someone's house and you super messed it up, or it got super messed up and then they complained, or when you had a bunch of people come to your house and they super messed it up.
That could be good.
Yeah, so tell all those kinds of stories and anything that's even anyway related, and it will entertain everyone.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Odeo. Just click the link that says Send Me an Odeo on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.